remapping article for town meeting.
Right.
So
And
Don, I sent that to you late today.
okay. We'll get them, and then I got comments earlier from GTAD, and they've been incorporated. So we're good to go on those. If
What's the date, Don?
yeah, hang on.
I think it was April 7th.
May 7th. No, April 7th.
April 7th, I think.
April 7th.
April 7th. April 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. April 7th.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the April 7th minutes as amended.
Okay, Chris
Second,
and Geetha. Okay, we don't have Frank. So Lisa
Yes.
and Yibird. Brendan,
I'm going to abstain. I don't believe I was on the call.
7th. No, you were not. Okay. And Todd?
Aye.
And Geetha, I did. And Chris? Don?
Yes, of course.
And Emily?
Yes.
Okay, we're all set on that. Thank you. And moving on to the Lynch, we have neighborhood abutter landscape meeting from Chris Shockey and Meg. If Chris has jumped on up, he said here he is. Okay,
I'm here. Hello, how are you?
very good.
Yes.
Yeah, so on Friday, what was it, 2 weeks ago, I guess? 2 Fridays. We were able to meet with some of the neighbors. And it was really good. I think we had a good conversation. David Warner from Warner Larson went through the plans that we had drawn up based on a really old meeting, I guess we had last fall or even earlier than that, about adding some plantings, and we came up with a plan. And it got that priced, and that was kind of in there. And so we went over that plan a little bit. And generally, I think the direction that we were going, I think they were receptive to it. I do think we have a couple changes that we kind of want to do. One being the grasses. There's some ornamental grasses along Brantwood between that west parking lot in Brantwood. And so I think we're going to switch those out to a mix of deciduous and some evergreen bushes in there. So they won't shade the PV, but you know, they'll still get big and tall, and just be something slightly different than the grasses that we kind of had in there, but it'll be a similar kind of plant palette. And then I think we talked about potentially adding a redbud or a dogwood, kind of as we kind of turn down Brantwood a little bit, just to add a little bit more color and some flower. Talked about some viburnum and juniper potentially as something in there, but David and his team are really looking at it, looking to add a little bit more of the deciduous evergreen kind of plantings in there. But overall, it's really kind of what we had looked at earlier. I think generally the approach is to try to trade and swap plants as best as we can. And so that way we're really trying to reduce the cost of any changes. But there might be a little bit of cost, but not a lot associated with some of these changes. That was a lot of words, but hopefully that gives you guys something.
Do you have to report back, Chris, or how is it ended? Do you have to fill them in on what you're doing?
No, it didn't feel like that. It felt kind of like, you know, we had a good conversation, and then I think we understood kind of where they stood, and they understood where the project was. And so I think we kind of have good marching orders from that. And so I don't think we need to like necessarily have another meeting to kind of to go over it. I think we're in a good spot.
Any questions for Chris? Don't see
Was
anything.
there, I just have, I know Meg couldn't be there because I got rescheduled pretty late on that Friday. Were there any requests of the town that we're supposed to follow up on?
No, it was just us, just the project team, I guess, just looking at a couple different types of plants based on some of the feedback, switching out some of those things, right? Nothing really towards you guys.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no, and then they just had a couple questions on the other project that's kind of going on over there, right, for Meg. And I said, I don't know much, so pointed them towards Meg on that.
Yeah, and I haven't received any follow-up emails, so.
Yeah.
So the only other thing I have, Jay, this isn't totally a curveball for Chris because we've talked about it before, but it's sort of related to landscape. When we were going through the FF&E package, we were trying to figure out where the outdoor classroom furniture was. And Tepe had said at the time that wasn't in the FF&E package because that was more outdoor. That would be more for like the landscape architect to weigh in on. Do we know, Chris or Meg, where do we stand with a spec for the outdoor classroom furniture? Do we have something yet? Have we ordered something yet?
Meg, I'll take this one. We haven't ordered anything. We do have a spec. So I was talking with Warren Larson about it, and we just need to marshal kind of the quantities of it. But there's planters. We would use basically the same manufacturer that kind of has done the other site furnishings. And so it would keep, with that palette of finishes and tables and chairs. And so they have a planter, they have some good tables and chairs that we can put up there. And so we just need to kind of get that RFP and make sure the quantities are good. But I think we have what we need at that. So that'll probably be the next week and a half kind of thing.
Okay, and is that something that you've had a chance to review yet with like Andrew and Frank, or you're preparing that to review with administration?
Yes, I would be preparing that, just based on kind of their comments, but we would go over it one more time with them before we
Okay.
sent it to Brait.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay.
And then, sorry, Jay, one
Yep,
just
go ahead.
thing that was in my head. I know one of the meetings when we went over some of this planting stuff, we had discussed potentially a fence, right, along Brantwood at the solar panel. That was brought up to the neighbors just to make sure that they could hear that, and they didn't think that would be beneficial for them. So I know we had discussed it, but that wasn't something that they really wanted to run down. So it's more just the plantings.
Okay.
That's helpful feedback.
Well, if there's nothing else, I think we're all set with Chris, right? I know this isn't the normal Lynch night, but he was nice enough to jump on and give us an update. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to join.
All right, have a great night.
Thank you. You too, guys.
Bye.
All right, we're going to move on to the IT from Andrew. Update.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. As a quick update on IT, we walked the building last Thursday. The project team, Brait was there as well, inspected the MDF and all the IDFs. And so the MDF is ready to go. So we've begun scheduling our network folks to come in and install that equipment. The IDFs need a little more work to sort of button those up. So they're finishing those. Then we should have an update soon on that. And then just related to IT in general, we have all of the classroom kind of peripherals, the laptops and monitors. Those are all in the district. So they came a little early and we've stored them kind of securely in space that we have in other buildings. With the expectation we'll move that over as part of the move this summer and deploy to teachers then. So it's good. All that is on site and ready to go.
Any questions for Andrew? I guess I'll ask, is there any hiccups you see? Or you think you're in good shape on everything?
Yeah, we're looking good. We're working with the fiber vendor, getting that installed. There may be a little delay in the fiber arriving, but we have a solution to bring kind of a temporary connection to cover the gap if needed. But we'll have more update in early June on that. I think everything else is looking good. We have the top cats installed. That's the audio devices for the classrooms. We have the digital touch screens for instead of projectors in the classrooms. Those are all ordered and anticipated arrival in July for install. Yeah, I think we're looking pretty good.
So we'll have a lot going on in July between, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be.
July is gonna be very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just asking Andrew, does that mean we have to move twice? Anyway, I mean, you just mentioned it came early, but.
Yeah, it is a.
Uh,
We do have to incorporate into our moving vendor, but they're aware of it. We met
Okay.
with them to walk through their process, and it's within their scope to pick it up.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Andrew?
I just asked Jay a question since Brate had to throw in temporary doors on those IT closets to keep those secure. Andrew, are you sort of dialed in to when the new doors are actually our new and sort of permanent doors are arriving? And is there sort of a good plan to get the temporary ones off, get the new ones on quickly without interrupting any ongoing vendor work? In other words, are they going to tackle those as a group of doors?
I'm not sure their full schedule. I know their focus is on that MDF to get that door in first. It is secure now. Maybe Meg remembers. I felt like they were arriving this week, the doors, right?
Yeah, I
So
believe
are
they
saying-
are, but deliveries continue to be a problem from manufacturers, so we'll see. Hopefully they will arrive this week.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Andrew? Update on the playground equipment from Meg next.
Well,
Yeah, we saw that email today.
yeah, half the equipment arrived. We thought it was all the equipment, then they realized that it was only half the equipment, so they don't have an answer yet on where the other half is, so of the shipment. So hopefully I'll have more information tomorrow. Everyone will, hopefully. Otherwise, honestly, there's not much to report on.
When do they start?
Do we know,
installing?
Meg, has it crossed the border, or we don't even know if it's crossed the border yet?
Well, I don't know that because I mean, they were under the impression that the entire order had crossed the border, and it had indeed been delivered,
Recording
to-
stopped.
to the, installers, lot. So when the installer, once the dust settled and the installer started looking at it and took inventory of it, they were like, this isn't, the right amount of pieces. So then, they started the whole, so I don't know that anybody quite knows right now on Brate's part where the remaining equipment is.
Andrew, can we get the recording restarted? It just said that it
Andrew
stopped.
jumped off. How do you
Oh,
get
is
it
that what
started,
happened?
Chris? I mean, anyone know how to?
Sorry to interrupt, but.
Is anybody else named
Oh,
host?
start recording.
Recording
Okay.
in progress.
All right, thank you.
He made Jay the host,
Yeah.
I think.
Got it.
Okay, thank
there
you.
go.
Sorry to have interrupted.
I was looking at it and it asked the question for me. It came over with a pop-up. So we're good.
Okay, all right.
There you go. So yeah, we'll know more hopefully tomorrow or the next day. I don't have their schedule with me to look at when playground installation was going to start, but I know they're working on the bases, the footings, that type of stuff. So, but I didn't bring the schedule with me, so I can't tell you when they had planned to start installing them pieces. But I'll let you know once
Sure
after.
won't be before the next meeting anyways.
No,
No,
No.
I don't think they're outside that much out.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Meg? No questions. Good. All right. Thank you, Meg, on that. Town meeting update, Article 19 from Chris.
Yeah, so this is quick. So that last article that was left to be discussed was the select board funding, supplemental funding article for the Morocco culvert that passed, I think unanimously, Meg. So, you know, as I think I told the committee previously, that on the first night of town meeting, we funded the FEMA remapping request. So the money is set aside for that. The remapping request will not go in until the Morocco culvert work is done. And the Morocco culvert work was hung up waiting for the supplemental funding because of the MBTA kind of rethinking what they expected in terms of protecting the existing culvert. But now that that got approved, Meg, I'm assuming are we like full steam ahead now? We don't have to wait till like July 1st or anything, do we?
No, the funding is available. We're still in re-permitting phase. So actual work won't start out there until probably July or August. All the subcontractors have to be brought back. But the biggest issue is just finalizing the permitting again.
Yeah. So really, it's just an update for the committee. I mean, the good news is the money's all been put in place to finish the last and probably most expensive of the flood mitigation projects, I'm guessing. But it's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. And it'd be good to get it done, and then we can get everything remapped. And then that will kind of change the landscape, if you will, in terms of the Morocco site. Although Meg reminds me, you can, build in a floodplain, but from a regulatory point of view and risk management point of view, it's always good, like, to avoid that. So when the work is done, the floodplain at Morocco is expected to drop somewhere between 3 and 4 feet. So that's a big deal. It's a tremendous amount of area. So it's good news. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Go ahead, Geetha.
Yeah, sorry, I just have a heads up question. I'm assuming with this MBTA permitting, Meg, I think the construction observation would get steamed up too, like maybe pre-construction monitoring and stuff like that. Would it be part of the permitting too? Just asking, now knowing that the steel casing is going to go, and just wondering, would that be part of this packaged as well? Just being next to the MBTA culvert, I presume the settlement monitoring, vibration monitoring, and then pre-construct, before, background monitoring and all sorts of things, assuming to protect the interest of the town would take place.
Yeah, I mean, the contractor owns all type of monitoring, and the MBTA will have flaggers and monitors out there as well. But basically, this work is sleeving the culvert. Basically, it's giving them a very long lifespan on the culverts, underneath the track. So, but yeah, there's all sorts of monitoring that will be in place.
Yeah, like especially I can think of like a vibration, the training passing by and the contractor is driving the casing, the thing.
Yep. Again, those in their current configuration, at over 100 years old, those trains go over those culverts every day.
Yeah. All right.
Many times.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anything else for Meg on this one? All right, we will move on to the high school, which is just an update on the floor, which, like Meg said, is really not our project, but it's good to know. You don't mind?
Yeah, so the gym floor project's moving along, all the demolitions done, all the, any minor electrical work that had to happen for the reconfiguration of all the overhead equipment is complete or ongoing. The flooring subcontractor is going to begin their leveling process, and that'll take probably 10 days or so, a couple of weeks. And then flooring scheduled to go in early June. And equipment is ready to go in June as well. Of course, like every project right now, getting equipment is the biggest issue that we have on any project. And the bleachers are, getting the bleachers is going to be problematic on time. So, but everything else should be done by the end of July. And then we'll just be waiting for the bleachers to get installed in August. But it's going well.
Is the wood on site, Meg, already?
It wasn't on site as of last week. It could be.
Yeah.
But they have that all figured out, you know, how long it needs to be on site, how long it has to sit, and
I just
you
meant
know.
as far as do they actually have it in hand? You know, the biggest
The
project.
flooring is not an issue. Only the bleacher, even all the other equipment is not an issue. It's only the bleachers.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, and then the concrete project would be next, I guess.
Yeah, so the topside work was approved at springtime meeting as well. The underside work, I had one of the items on the manager's letter is to award the contract to the Olson Company. They were the low bidder for the underside work. So that work, we have their contract drafted. That work will start most likely right after July 4th, maybe that week, but kind of unlikely. And that work will go on through the end of November. And the funding, and the other item that we have on here is an amendment for SG&H they did their investigation work on the gym floor after the floor was stripped down to the concrete. So they got in like a week and a half ago on a Saturday, and they did their corings. Well, they chain dragged it, and then they found there was about, I don't know how many square feet that they were concerned with. And then they got in and they did, you know, some destructive testing, and they found that everything is in great condition. So that's great news, because that would have delayed the flooring project a little bit. So no additional work has to happen there, but it did cost us, you know, significant amount of money for them to get in and evaluate that and perform all that work on a Saturday. So that's the spending authorization for the high school. The next step, once July comes around, is to get SG&H under contract to complete the documents for the top side, and then that work can be bid. That work is not going to happen over the summer for the top side. There's just no way to get it designed, finish the design, get it bid, and get the work done by September 1. But it'll be progressing, and we have the money in place, so that's all good news.
Okay. Any questions for Meg?
Sorry, may I ask a quick question, Meg? So you
Yeah.
indicated they didn't find any flaws, and I quickly went through the proposal. So what is that September 1st that they have to prepare something? I kind of lost right there. Like SGH found nothing. I guess from that attachment you have, as if like maybe they're thinking it's a thinner slab. What would that tell us? And then the September work, what is it? Is it based on the SGH testing that they're doing currently? That part I lost.
The work that's going to happen this summer and into the fall on your side is the corrosion inhibitor application. So that is sort of like spraying on the underside.
Yes, the underside. Yes, fine.
That's all that work. The top side work has not been finalized yet. The design for that work has not been finalized. So that work that we still have to work with SG&H on finalizing on where and what the extent of each area's problems are and how to address them. That has not happened fully yet. It has
Okay, so
happened
that
at
would
some
be-
level.
Okay.
So they
Okay,
have more work to do on the top side. And the only
Okay,
reason
so-
why they're not working with
Mhm.
it now is because we just don't have the funding. So,
I see. Okay, so there would be more designer fees, more than the 2,100, whatever that's attached with this.
oh yeah,
invoice.
that's just basically an invoice.
Okay,
It's
okay.
after the fact amendment for their work that they did on the gym floor.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Chris has a question also, Meg. Chris,
Well,
go ahead.
just to follow up on that point, just to remind the committee, so that was partly why we just went back for more money at town meeting was, we never had the funding to actually do the topside work. 6 months ago, we thought we might be asking for somewhere around $360,000. But as Meg has explained, because Olson's number came in high, but we had enough money that we could still award it, we needed to go back and ask for a larger amount because the 360 wouldn't get us to the finish line because we had to take a portion of those dollars to apply to the SACI work. The surface applied corrosion inhibitor work, that language in that article, which was, a year ago now, was deliberately vague so those dollars would be fungible. So we just got approval from town meeting. They gave us $450,000 and Stacy was quick to pop up and say, that money's not available till July 1st. So the design work has to happen. But the other point I was going to make, Jay, is that Frank at a recent meeting, I think with EFPBC, unless he just told me directly, Frank is willing to work with the high school staff. So if there's a way to get this work done without waiting until summer of 26, we will. And if that means, moving like pods of people out of a space so that the work can be done and then move them back in, then that's a conversation he's willing to have and see what he can do to make that happen. Because obviously, if we wait until summer 26, there's a whole year of escalation and continued deterioration of the concrete. So it may get done in chunks, but Frank seems committed to find a way to get it so we don't have to wait another whole year.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. We'll move on to Meg's ask.
So I don't have it.
I don't have
Sorry,
it
I
on
don't-
this monitor either.
Could probably.
You want to just read through it? We sent it out earlier.
Yeah, I can just read through it. So, Hills invoice 47 is on here because they did not get that to me in time. I think we approved it verbally, but here it is in writing. So, it's their invoice 47, $76,960. We got a couple of technology invoices for items that have been received by the school department from Gov Connection in the amount of $10,855 and then $28,500. And then there's two previously approved FF&E items that there were some cost increases due to changes that were made after the fact by the Stafera.
Set it up. Okay, thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. For the RH Lord increase of $63, they switched some of the bases of the standing desks to a slightly higher version. And that would cost an additional $63.84. And then for the Tucker, they found that the circulation desk was priced with PVC edges on the work surface, and that was changed to wood. So that was an additional $538. So we also have another company where it's a $4,000 reduction. So I didn't put that on here because no one needs to approve that. So that's what those two are about. And then for the high school, as I explained earlier, the Olson Company contract for $698,000. And then SG&H's amendment number 1 for $21,500.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, I move we authorize the town manager to make the Lynch School project payments as listed in the May 19th memo to us, and approve the spending authorizations for the Lynch School for R.H. Lord and Tucker as listed in her memo, and also to approve the spending authorizations for the Winchester High School for Alston Company and SG&H as listed in her May 19th memo to the EFPBC.
I'll second that.
Okay. Brendan, I'll put you down for that.
Thanks.
All right, and
Sorry, Chris.
roll call. Lisa
Yes, yes.
and Todd,
Aye.
Geetha.
Aye.
All right, Chris,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
All right, we're all set with that, Meg.
Great. Thank you.
And lastly, we got meeting scheduled for the June 2nd and the 16th, and we're going to put a placeholder in for the 23rd, just with everything going on in case we need something. It's good to have the June and July are probably going to be hectic at the Lynch. So put them in there anyways, see who can make it. All right,
Okay,
good. Ahead of schedule.
very good. Move we adjourn.
All
I'll
right.
second it.
All right, we'll go Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Geetha,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes. Thanks for
And
the
Emily.
update, everyone.
Okay, Emily.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Have a
Jay,
good
you
night.
want,
Night.
Bye,
You know what?
everybody.
Jay, you're gonna send over to Meg the approval of the
I will, yeah.
okay, you got it. All right. Otherwise, I'll do it. If
No,
you,
I'll get it. Yep.
You got it. Okay.
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Good night. Good night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.